Hey everybody, this is Chanchai. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Evo Day. It's August 5th, 2022. Congratulations, we're here. It's been 3 years and finally Evo Offline is back and it's a really exciting day. So I'm really happy for everyone that's there. I can't be with you guys this year, but I'm planning to go next year, I hope, and for the years to come. And again, I love what I see. I think the new team that's leading Evo is taking it in a wonderful direction, and it just seems like such an amazing event. It already was, and now it's even more amazing. So I think we're really blessed with a truly special event that's happening every year, and this year it's off to a good start. Let's see how the show goes. That said, um, today I'm going to talk about the Golden Lever. I'm going to talk about Arcade Stick Indonesia. That's what the ASI means. Um, Many people would wonder, um, what's so special about the Golden Lever? Why are some people making a big deal about it, even though not many people have it? So, when the few people that do have it come around, you'll see them because you'll see the ball top, and it would suggest that they are probably playing with a Golden Lever inside their controller. So these ball tops and bat tops have become very iconic, and the Golden Lever has at least achieved a notoriety and a fame with that. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what is special about the Golden Lever. Um, while you're at Evo this year, um, you're going to see a lot of amazing products that I've covered. And let me also say that none of my videos so far have been sponsored. I am doing this just as a fan and as a hobbyist, as a collector, as somebody who has been obsessed with this hobby for only 9 months now, and it's just I've just gone crazy for it, and I think that's been obvious. But I've also been asked to share my opinions on the things that I like and on the products that I use. And people have said that I have a way with words. So that's why I started making videos about this hobby, because it has become my obsession in 2022, and in 2021 it started. And Golden Lever is one of the starting points. Anyways, so what's the big deal about Golden Lever? Why should you pay attention to this Indonesian company that has products, and they are at Evo, and they're at the Japanese vendor Atasa. Atasa is a vendor from Japan, and they have a booth at Evo, and you should definitely check them out. This is something that you should not sleep on Golden Lever, and you shouldn't sleep on Atasa either. They've got such amazing products. Arcade Shock's amazing, and all the other booths are going to be amazing. I'm glad that everyone's there. Victrix is there. I'm a big fan of Victrix as well. But you should not sleep on Golden Lever. You should not sleep on Arcade Stick Indonesia. We're going to talk about it. Most of the people that know about Golden Lever would be Tekken players, because a lot of the Tekken players have special needs in their gameplay. The techniques are incredibly difficult, with very difficult timings for different character types, and for even general techniques like the green backdash. And so, Korean levers have provided a way to really to vary through the dynamic tension and through various throws like long throw too, um, allow you to manipulate your technique in a way that controls your timing a little better. It works more for Tekken than for a lot of games, but it works for all kinds of games. But it is especially appreciated in Tekken, and it's one of those things that does make Tekken special. I'm not a Tekken player. I should remind the audience that I am actually just mainly a Virtua Fighter player, and Virtua Fighter's needs are very different from Tekken. Later on, I'll tell you why a Virtua Fighter player loves the Golden Lever so much, and why other people should take notice, and why, yeah, Tekken players appreciate it, but why non-Tekken players should also appreciate the golden lever and what it has to offer, and why I think it's worth its notorious price. So with the golden lever began as a project by Waswos when he started Arcade Stick Indonesia, I think around 10 years ago. And he basically, the most popular types of levers were Fanta levers. That's a deep dive in itself, and maybe I'll do a video about that. But what I will say is it's a popular type of Korean lever, especially found at certain arcades, and had certain properties that just made them really ideal for playing Tekken. And so you had certain types of Fanta levers that were available to be put into certain arcade sticks. Korean levers are kind of tricky in that they don't work in every arcade controller without some modding, but there are now a lot more arcade controllers, and especially the custom ones, and the Itoki Omni, and even to a lesser degree the Victrix, that allows you to use a decent range of Korean levers. But back in the day, with the popular Fanta levers, Waswos made modifications, just similar to like the Auto, making modifications to the Sanwa. Waswos was making modifications for the Fanta lever to make it better, and or at least perform the way that players would like. Preference is the key word. And so that's kind of where Golden Lever started, as sort of part by part, becoming this project that eventually became its own lever in itself, with its own properties. And what is most important to understand is that the Tekken player can now have the Golden Lever, which can be really customized to play how they want, with an incredible smoothness, with a very good build, and made from very interesting materials that are very good materials. And that is where the Golden Lever became more and more popular, as you saw more and more pros play with it, and more pros winning with it, and a lot of pros still sticking with it. So there's many levers and many manufacturers that are approaching players, but the Golden Lever has become this a symbol, and a status symbol, especially with these, because these are iconic, and the gold really does stand out, and it sticks out, and people remember it. But also, these are just awesome levers to play, awesome handles to play on your own lever, whatever you use. So that is the story of Golden Lever, and that's kind of gives you an idea of why Tekken players would like it. But I'm going to tell you why other people should like it too, and then we'll address some other aspects about this. So let's see. So I've said that the Tekken player can customize the Golden Lever to a degree, and I'm going to bring you up close so we can admire my collection while we talk about this. All right. So let's start by looking at my ball top while we talk about this. So the Golden Lever is not just customizable for a Tekken player. Korean levers have a lot of features to them that are unique, that make them different from Japanese levers. They use, instead of springs and a pivot, they use what we call grommets that go through the body, and then the shaft goes through that. The grommet is a very dynamic tension, and it tends to have a better way of snapping back to neutral. So this is a lot of people know of my Akuma Victrix. And I have a very thick shaft, because this shaft, using it thicker, makes it have a shorter throw. And that is something special to Golden Levers, that it offers a wide range of shaft sizes, and they interact differently with the collar, which is what restricts the movement. The dynamic tension of the Korean lever is that dynamic tension is pretty cool, because It's what allows various techniques. It's the further out you go, the higher the tension, and you can customize it. In the Japanese lever, you would change the spring, but in a Korean lever, you would just change the grommet, and sometimes you would change how the body compresses that grommet to have different effects. Um, there's a lot of aspects of the Korean lever that gets to be customized. The actuator itself, um, the shaft, as we've mentioned, which the golden lever has a wider range than pretty much everything. But some have wide ranges like the Cool Bear lever. And then changing the handle. And there's more. There's more, and I'll get into that. So, what the golden lever offers the Japanese lever player, if you're used to a Sanwa and whatnot, is you can customize this Korean lever system so much that it could be more like that could feel very close to a Japanese while still retaining the benefits of the Korean lever. And that's also why I think a vendor like Atasa welcomes the golden lever so much and is, recommending it to its customers. The golden lever is insanely customizable. I have not seen anything come close to how customizable it is, and we will get into that. Um, Now, when you do buy a golden lever, you get it in. I do recommend getting a pre-built one first, and then you can get some parts with it. So here, actually, we'll go with this one. Here, you've got like the Korea build. I actually recommend that if you're coming from a Sanwa, you're coming from Japanese levers, you really should get the Japanese setup. It's really good. I ended up building my Korean lever into a Japanese like setup. I kind of moved back in that direction. If you're not used to the Korean levers, it's best to kind of take baby steps towards that because, or you can do a deep dive, but you got to know what you're into, what you're getting yourself into. Because when you go into a Korean lever, this is like a short throw. When you're a Korean lever, you're like going way over, and it might be disorienting at first, and you're used to going pretty far like to the wall. Um, to nail your movements. And when you do that with the Korean lever, you might just find yourself going way off course. It will be disorienting at first, and diagonals usually are harder. And on the standard Korean setup, diagonals are easier on the golden lever, but they're still pretty hard for people that are not used to Korean levers. It's a feature. It's one of those where on a Korean lever you want to go with like a short technique and then have a long technique, and I'll show that with. So I've mentioned the Korean lever build, pre-build. If you want to try a Korean lever, and the Japanese build, which I highly recommend if you're coming from something like Sanwa, and then moving your way towards Korean if you like. The golden lever will let you modify until you get there, and I'll show you how later. Now they do have pre-builds that are different from that have limited customization, but are emulating something. So this one here is the Fantastick, and the Fantastick, it's not really what I recommend getting first unless you're really if you're a Tekken player, sure. If you're a Tekken player, this is a fantastic stick. If you are if like what a Korean lever is supposed to do and you're experienced with them, then I recommend the Golden Fantastick. It's a beautiful, beautiful pre-built stick, and it has very unique features among golden lever. Some of it is to try to simulate what's come before it with the Fanta levers, and some of it is. It also comes with a medium bat top, which is larger than the normal standard. So if I put a normal standard next to it, you can see it's a different size, and the medium is bigger than that. Not as quite as the large, right? This is like the large, and the large is pretty huge. So this is the Golden Fanta lever. It's got this beautiful mirror-like washer. It's got a full collar. Now the Korean can come in a short collar or full collar, I believe. And short collar is what I do recommend using in general anyways. I think a lot of Korean levers have gone towards short collar lately, and it's great to use. But there is something unique and feel about the collar for a full collar. Now, in Japanese levers, we restrict the movement at the bottom, but on Korean levers, you restrict them at the top on this collar. The lever can obviously can't will like hit the wall, and then it may hit that wall before or after the switch depending on the settings. And so the collar is really important for as a restrictor gate, but also then the shaft size is what matters for that. So that's how you can customize. Like if you want a shorter throw, get a larger shaft size. If you want a longer throw, you get a smaller shaft size because it's gonna be this tiny thing moves all the way to the collar's edge here. You know, the Golden Fanta stick is a wonderful stick. It does not have one of the features I love, which is custom micro switch spacing. These four things are the micro switches that you see, and down here is the actuator, and it's a more traditional like actuator, but a unique feature of the Fanta stick though is the way that this hole in the bottom is cut, so that you could actually push the lever to the point where it has like a click beyond the micro switch. It has kind of a quote unquote knock that happens. A unique feature that Golden Lever did do with the Fanta stick build, though, is they also customized the grommet to have easier diagonals. It's a long explanation, but it's pretty cool, and it does work. Like this is the easiest diagonals I've ever had on a Fanta lever. They're still tough for me in Virtua Fighter. I mean, in Virtua Fighter, I'm having to go high speed and do a directions like down forward, down forward, like really fast, and doing it from up or from neutral like consistently, and then going back to neutral. It feels a little slow for me on Korean levers usually, and that's why I have trouble with them. Is that I kind of need the speed of like a Japanese lever. But again, this lever is more for the Tekken users and for the Tekken arcade players. But it is awesome. But I do caution against it if you're just getting into Golden Lever. I recommend going a Korean build or a Japanese. But I wanted to show you the box experience of the Golden Lever because it's a really cool box experience. And it's got a QR. They have QR codes for the manual on the mounting plate. Okay, so that's one small idea. Again, the Golden Lever is just really so customizable that you can make it how you want it. And I made mine very Japanese. Okay, so again, enjoy the ball top collection that Golden Lever has provided. This wooden one, it's not real wood, but it's a wood style bat top that Golden Lever made. The last ones are being sold at that Atasa vendor at Evo, so if my friend doesn't snatch it up before you, you have a chance to get it, because I really love this lever. This one, it's a smooth feeling lever. It feels really good, but Arcade Stick Indonesia has made it very clear they're not making anymore. It's made from epoxy resin, like cloth, but it's awesome, and it's just a fantastic feel. So, also, the Obi bat tops, if you can get them, you should. They are spendy, but they're amazing, and there's a lot of work that goes into these. And I even have a large one that's got the inscriptions on it. I love that you can engrave these. And so this one says formless, shapeless like water, and then the bottom one says learn from mistakes. So I like to think it goes great, and it also pairs well with believe in yourself or believe in your technique, which is why I love the dust washers from Murukuma Arts, or Lever Lovers. Believe in your technique. So, lever. Let's take a look on the underside so I can talk a little more about what's going on with the Golden Lever. Golden Levers are ridiculously smooth. I'm going to shine this up in the air. Alright, here's my Victrix upside down. Thanks to Hitachi Final for his notes on using yoga blocks as a way to work with your Alright, so I've installed the LED board. It's no secret. This is the golden lever here. It's very much like a Korean stick. The Victrix is awesome because it has this inlet here that allows for the switch placement here that the golden lever tends to. Now it is hard if the switch is on this side on some Korean levers. You'll just have to kind of bend the prongs if that's the case, and it sucks, but it is what it is. Also, the Victrix accommodates short collar. In the hole for your lever, there is like you can pop out the plastic ring there, and when you do that, it fits short collars perfectly. Okay, so here are the micro switches, and you can see these bolts here, and these bolts will help me when I want to do custom spacing. I have these templates that I put in, and then I just have to just loosely unscrew each micro switch and then readjust them based on the template, and that is how I customize the spacing. By customizing the micro switch spacing, you can change how it actuates, and that's what makes the golden lever customizable beyond, that's one of the features that makes it customizable beyond anything I've ever used for any other lever. I'm going to make it clear again. This is the one Korean lever that I 100% love for Virtua Fighter and put as one of my top levers to use for Virtua Fighter. And it's basically a golden lever tuned to play similar to a Japanese, but to however you really want it. The best thing is you get to customize it. Again, insanely short throw on this setup, because this setup is really going for really fast direction inputs, but it's got this nice soft smoothness. You notice it's not as loud as like Sanwa, but it's still clicky with the switches with these A5s. But the custom spacing is a part of it, because then I get to have that square really tight around the actuator. And then another amazing feature of this actuator is using what we call black bearing. It's almost like there's a ball bearing wheel here, and that ball bearing wheel is the only thing that's touching these micro switch levers. And beyond that, underneath it is a bushing, and that bushing is a perfect separation, but it also allows very smooth, like independent motion of the actuator itself. It's an awesome design that I've only seen with golden lever. I think one thing in China is copying it, but I've never seen anyone else use it. But it's my favorite type of actuation. It's just incredibly smooth, and you can see it just rotate like this. But you should maintain it often. You should oil, and you can just see that it independently moves each lever. This contributes to like an insanely smooth feeling that feels like no other. This is the classic white body, and if you buy independent parts, the white body is what I recommend. There is a black body. The black body is for light tension setups like this one. This is a light tension setup. I like light and medium tensions, but the black body, what it does is it compresses the grommet so that the grommet will be more tense. It means it's a more intense neutral. Not recommended for high tension setups, but really cool. And it's a cool option because then you have, for some games, then your neutral is like really, like it really wants neutral so bad, you know, and it pops its directions a little bit while snapping back pretty good. Some people really love that. I still love how it feels with the white body, but I am going to do a black build setup soon. So yeah, this is how my golden lever is on my Akuma Victrix, and there's more. So give me a moment here. Again, I hope everyone's having a wonderful time at EVO this year. But again, if you're there, please check out Atasa, check out Golden Lever. Ask them about it. They'll tell you all about it. I believe they've got a rep there just willing to explain everything about the Golden Lever, show it to you, how it works. let's talk about its components, and then I've got a surprise after that. So I just put the Victrix Akuma away. So let's see what we're doing here. Put away my gold lever handle collection. My wife's gonna be mad because of the loud noise. Alright. So you don't need to buy all these parts. For you, the player, really, for most players, I'd recommend get the Japanese setup, or if you're used to Tekken levers and you're playing Tekken as your main game, get the Korean setup, and then buy like just a few parts. They have kits available. They have customization kits based on that, so you can get the Korean custom kit, you can get the Japanese kit. You should get that. It costs a bit extra, but it's going to give you a lot of fun customization. Okay, so let's talk about the collars, because that's probably one of the exciting parts. Here's a full collar. Okay, here is a this is cool. So this is basically an octagon on the bottom and flat on the top, so it's like a square on the top. So it's an octagon square. And this one allows you to roll your bottoms, but then hit the tops as you like. And you can adjust the switch spacing too. So these asymmetric setups are really only possible on Golden Lever. And the reason that they're only possible on Golden Lever is because of that custom spacing. So it needs to use the white body or the black body. Here's a black body, by the way. So this is a black body that hasn't been opened yet, with the bolts to install the micro switches on. I will eventually build that one up. You know, we have here octagon. It's great on the short collar. Let's see here. This is another circular octagon. It's octagon circular. We've also got like circle, square, and squircle, and square, and short. So this is like our square here. And then we've also got short square. Now this is an older model one. But short square is a cool one where it's not a square, it's more of a rectangle, and that's because you get to pick one side, one direction that's gonna be shorter than the others. You're gonna have to adjust the spacing for it, but if, like, let's say you want easier up, then that would be one way to do it, and that could be huge. But it could also risk making your up too sensitive. So it's something you get to experiment, but you get the choice, you get the power. Golden Lever lets you do that, and it's, you know, the Japanese Virtua Fighter player Jin Kage, the best Kage in the world. He uses like the short square. Okay. These are the switch spacers that I talked about. Each one is a different size, and that little notch, this one doesn't have a notch in the middle, but there's usually a notch in the middle to tell you, the number of notches tells you what size it is, and you can reference it in the manual. So there's many custom spacings, and they help. Here we go. These are the grommets. You've got red is really, really hard. Dark red, super hard. You got purple, just close to the medium. You got the blues that are the medium. Turquoise is just slightly, it's like low medium. Then you've got the lights, the greens, and then the light green. And now they have clear. Clear is the super, super lightest, and that's what comes with the Japanese setup now. You got that, you got your mounting plate. You know, I do use lubricant. When I started using Golden Lever, at first I was nervous. Probably like most players, I was very, very nervous. And then by the time I modified like my lever twice, I got addicted. I ended up falling in love with modifying the lever. I just wanted to keep trying new builds, and it was a lot of fun. And that's not everything, by the way. Now we've got the small parts here, the shafts, and everything else. And so I became hooked. Now the reason I get all these parts actually is because I want to help players in America. And so a lot of times I end up, the biggest barrier for Golden Lever, aside from the base price, which I think is a fair price if you ask me, and I'll talk about it later. Um, the so beyond the base price is the shipping cost from sending to from Indonesia. This is a small group in Indonesia making these parts, and so I got these because I do sell these to players in America, and I sell them at pretty much at cost because I just want to help them be able to have access and try stuff out. And then I even offer to trade. So I'm happy to do trading for parts. Um, you know, here is where you can see this is the shaft, this is the spring, which the Golden Lever is one of the Korean levers that does use a spring, and I like that it does that. This is the bushing. This is this is a golden bearing, and then usually there's a ring. This is an older model, and then after the ring is the E-clip, and it's a wonderful shaft assembly that you can see how this independence of the bushing from the ring, the bearing is the actual actuator, the small silver piece here, and this bushing ends up acting as a weight, as an additional weight. You can choose between the POM, which is polyacetal, the plastic that is the main plastic that Golden Lever uses, or you can use brass, or you can use stainless steel, and then of course dust washer, and then this threadings for the handles. Okay, so let's talk about things that might scare people off of Golden Lever, and let's talk about how they've been addressed. If you've watched videos on the Golden Lever, you've probably heard about that initially they used brass, and that brass corrodes, and that some players had brass shafts snap after being corroded. And while that can happen, it does take a lot of things for that to happen. The shaft has to corrode, and that would likely happen from a lot of moisture, such as sweat, such as humid conditions, and time. And then also, if it's not being maintained, that would probably contribute to it even more. Maintenance being that applying lubricant regularly, or even changing shafts regularly. Now, brass shafts are the cheapest shafts that are offered by Golden Lever, and they are the ones that usually come by default. However, I think now the aluminum shaft has become the default one. So to address this problem with brass, which I think is the heaviest, and so I like it because it's the heaviest, to address the issue with brass, Golden Lever has created the Golden Aluminum, which the aluminum shafts are, I don't have them to show here, but basically aluminum is a very popular alternative for shafts, and they use an anodized gold, so it still has the golden aspect to it, but it's aluminum. It's the lightest weight. The stainless steel silver is almost as heavy as the brass, but not as heavy, but definitely heavier than the aluminum. And so a lot of players will use the stainless steel just for the self assurance that it's not going to corrode after months or years of work. And so a lot of players pretty much default to stainless steel and recommend it. But, Arcade Stick Indonesia listened and released aluminum, and are putting it more in their standard builds now, just to avoid that reputation that had happened years ago. But on a personal note, I think sometimes that weight's worth it for me, but I'm the type who doesn't mind, buying another $8 or $9 shaft to replace and do that, maybe seasonally. I would probably do it annually actually, but because I don't have sweaty hands, and I just feel like I don't feel like I'm gonna hit that use case myself. Some people will though, and so for each person, they definitely need to consider their circumstances and then also their preferences. that said, stainless steel shaft is an amazing one, and it's the standard. Most shafts are made from stainless steel, and they have really well built stainless steel shafts. The golden lever ones, you do need to use golden lever parts for golden lever, and that's fine. You will have like the size printed on the ring here, and I just use my phone's camera to see that. Then up here, that. Anyways, let's not get too deep into it. There is you have different types of actuators, and I've already talked about the bearing actuator. This is what a gold bearing actuator looks like. This is what a black bearing actuator looks like, and the black bearing requires less maintenance. It's actually become the most common used, and it's the one that comes in all of the pre-built golden levers. The black bearing actuator is very smooth, but also requires way less maintenance than a gold bearing. There are ball bearings inside. This is a classic actuator. This is gold. And then they have them in silver. They have them in silver and also in white. White being the polyacetal, the POM. And then you have the golden lever calls these cores, but they're basically bobbins in Korean lever terms. And these are what goes in the middle of the grommet. And actually, using a black core is an oversized core that also has the impact of compression and makes the neutral more stiff. So for a lot of people that really want to do that more stiff neutral, again, using a oversized bobbin is a good idea. But I like using the standard first because there's just such a good smooth feel that golden lever has. It's a very signature feel. It doesn't feel like any other lever, and part of that is happening with its main ingredients basically. So there you go. These are some of those parts that you're going to see, and if you buy a kit, it's really good. Okay, so we've addressed the issue of the shaft. We can talk about the price. All right. So what about this price? I think people should understand this is a boutique product, and this is made by a small team. It's not made by a factory. It's while some parts do get outsourced, the risk for any of these endeavors is really huge. If you build enough customers, that's wonderful, but if you order or manufacture a ton of stuff and suddenly the demand is not there, you might put yourself in the hole. That's the reality of business. That's the reality of being the small guy in business. And golden lever, I think, does operate at a fair price, especially when you consider the cost of materials and the cost to do everything. But we should put them in the boutique category. Even though they have customers all over the world, the level of demand is really hard to predict, and it always carries an inherent risk when they manufacture a big batch. You're going to get a benefit from making a lot. So it's basic business 101, but the summary is this. A man like Waswas, a company like Arcade Stick Indonesia, they want to serve their customers, like me, for a long time. They want to do this business seriously. I know everybody else does. I'm not saying other businesses don't, but they're dealing with the realities of the market, how much it costs, and they're betting that we're willing to pay the price that's kind of needed. They're not trying to gyp us, because I'm telling you, you don't make a fortune doing this. I mean, you make money, but it's really hard, and the risk is really high, and you put your family on edge. And I'm pretty sure they have family helping them. So it's very much small business. It's very much small guy doing all this work. And it's a lot of passion, and it's a company that wants to keep being there. We've seen a lot of companies that had to stop. We've seen a lot of individuals make amazing stuff, and they had to move on. They had to go a more stable route. They had to think about the family first. Um, and the way I see it is, I think Arcade Stick Indonesia is just trying to make this work so that they can keep doing this for life, because they love this hobby and they love making these products. So that's my assessment as someone who's run a business. That's my assessment as someone who knows it's really hard and lived on the edge. Um, I might not make it look like that, but things are not always as they seem. But when you look deeper enough, sometimes you can see the truth there. And for me, I think I see the truth in the numbers, and I see the truth in what's being done. And so I feel grateful for fellow hobbyists. And I'm a big fan of Golden Lever because they got a lot of things right. And they were able to make me, I was able to make the lever that's to my preference, that plays like a Japanese lever, using Korean technology, using innovations that this man had come up with his team, and tried it out. And I still see him field testing new ideas. They have a lot of new stuff coming out. They just released a bunch, and yeah. So that's my spiel on Arcade Stick Indonesia and on Golden Lever. And but I am telling you, you should check it out. There's no lever that's this customizable. There is no ecosystem where the other ecosystems, you got to buy this part, that part. You got to buy whole pieces and put them together. And yes, those components or those pieces may cost less than a full golden lever, but at the end of the day, the end cost is actually quite a bit more sometimes. At least with the hardcores that I talk to in this hobby, they really they take it to another level. And so, they definitely blew past the 120, the 130 asking price of a golden lever. But the golden lever is giving you a platform. This lever is not just a lever, it's a platform. The other levers, they're pre-built levers. They're like, we think we made it right. We think we made it the best, and that's great. This one is like, we think we made something really, really great, but we also think we're going to keep giving you stuff to make it better for you. And we're going to keep, and just like anything else, you're going to be able to customize your gear just like a tennis player does, just like an athlete does, just like a professional does. And you're going to customize it to play how you want it. There are traits that are our signature, but for the most part, you get to really control the throw, control this, control the actuation, control the restriction, like the shape of the gate, which is the collar in the Korean lever, and even the weight, and even the balance, and the grommet that you use. And we're going to make new grommets that are not types that you'd seen before. They have. And we're going to just keep surprising you, and they do. Um, the golden lever of 2019, or 2018 especially, is nothing like the golden lever of 2022. And in 2022, they've actually refreshed the Japanese and the Japanese line like twice. There's two 2022 specs for that, and it's never about that base spec. That base spec is a starting point, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to feel cheated. You just have to know, okay, if I want that new one, I just need to buy this part and that part, and now I have basically the new spec, but I'd rather have my own spec, and so I'm going to buy these parts to make it the way that I like it, and they're all high quality parts. And if they're less than high quality, I've seen him go out of his way to help other people, and also I've seen was answer everyone's questions. He's answered my questions a ton. Um, this man is truly passionate, and Arcade Stick Indonesia is a very hardworking and constantly thinking hobbyist and business. And so that's why I think Golden Lever is a big deal. That's why I think there's a lot of pros that keep using Golden Lever, even when other people slam it. Now, a lot of players are going to slam it in our in all hobbies, but especially in the gaming hobby. People slam things because there's a high price. They always have, right? And that's not to dismiss their concerns, but to me, sometimes the price is worth it. Golden Lever, it's really worth it to me, and I keep having fun building and rebuilding and rebuilding. So there's one more thing. One last thing. I'm going to show off another one of my builds, but more specifically, I'm going to show off my arcade controller. So let's have at it. I'll show you. Okay, is it still recording? I think it's still recording. Alright, apologies if it's not still recording. I accidentally touched the phone in some ways. So, you guys see that bag there, right? I'm still recording. Good. Let's put stuff, let's clear space for the bag. In fact, I'm going to put this in hand again, but alright. Since you're all at Evo, this is what I would have brought to Evo if I was going. And there's a lot to it. So, this is a Conba shield. Let's see what we got in there. Notice on my Conba shield, there is how I decorated it. And some people may wonder how I was able to get stickers, pins, even a coaster on here. And so we see Arcade Stick Indonesia, Golden Lever, Gamer Finger stickers, that's for the elements, heaven, basically heaven, earth, water, fire. We've got Akikon, Murukuma Arts Lever Lover, the Lever Lover Girl. We've got Dural from Virtua Fighter, and it's a pin. And that's Virtua Fighter, the animation, by the way. We've got the Brook sticker. We've got Pi, we've got Akira, we got Lao, we got Sarah, we got Pi again. And we've got Jackie, Pi, Junk Food Custom Arcades, and of course, Buttercade. How can I not have Buttercade? So, what did I do here? Well, this is going to be clue number one. There are pins in here, but let me see if I can do this. Actually, this pouch doesn't have anything that I'm going to show off. But one of the features, this is a clue. I used this. Can you guess what this is? Well, that looks like a button layout. Oh, and you know what? This is also a clue, because this is the right-handed one. This is the right-handed lever with the buttons. And it can be flipped for this way as well. But actually, this is the lefty one. And I got this, I'm not a lefty, but there's a use case that I have in the future for it. So, I hope you guys think that's cool. A clue as to what I used to get the stickers and the pins and everything going. And I used the black one. Gee, what could be hiding in this bag? So let's open the bag and let's see what's in the shield. Brad Pitt screaming, "What's in the shield?" I've got acoustic foam for padding. And this is my VS1R, which I've never shown in public before, but this is the first time I've shown it in public. I've got cables from Mech Cables. You can see the gold using parachute cable. Main connector here. It's a USB-C. can see that. You can see that beautiful gold. And this is my build. This is the build that I will do a treatment just like I did with my with the Akuma. And you can see my bag, and you see these straps. Yes, I got 2 straps for it. 2 beautiful leather straps to carry this stick on my shoulders if I want, or hang it up, you know. I can hang it up even on a coat rack, and there are places to put them. So this is the VS1R. Hopefully don't drop it. I put microfiber cloths in here, you know, gold microfiber cloths to fit the theme. However, I like using these silver carbonaires to connect the straps. This strap is awesome. I will definitely post a photo of how this looks and how it hangs off of my post for my stairs. So, welcome to the arcade stick, the VS1R. It stands for the Versus Case Revision 1, or I like to call it Round 1. You can see the logo here. And inside, I've got a little indicator, the Brooks, because there is a Brooks inside. This is how I indicate Brooks inside. I will say that hidden inside this controller is an AirTag. And so it is a golden lever, as you can see, with a black belt, with a Murukuma Arts washer. Now this is a special washer because I think it's the blackout. Let's see. Did I put the blackout in? Hard to see. Nope, this is the standard white. It's so good. On top of the gold. Now this gold is the Seimitsu. You can tell it's a thick shaft. Even though it's a bat top, it's still very much Japanese. It's got my name here. And then it does have a thumb button. An antagonist will be installed to this button, but right now it's up. I actually prefer having thumb and then these 3 buttons. That makes it similar to a cross-up. But we'll just call it top layout. Then over these 3 buttons, I don't really use them, but I could. But I've tried using it, but for Virtua Fighter, it's not as necessary. These are Crown 202s. Crown 202s are my favorite buttons, and I use them on here, and I really love that I went with the gold on silver. So I custom put these gold and silver, very sensitive on the 24mm. Like those are the ones that actually broke quite a bit, but they almost never broke on these, and I love the sound. And I did white on gold as the mains. So you can see that. Again, I love that VS logo. Let's look at here. Now, from Arcade Shock, I did install the screw-on USB-C. I might change this particular one back into something more of like a sunken-in USB-C port, but this is still an awesome accessory, and I recommend it for most arcade stick builds because you can really secure your USB-C cable onto that. But lately I don't use as much, but I do love that it's diagonal. That diagonal helps it reduce how much it gets kinked. It's really important. Okay. 1 second while I put the down. Let's look. So these switches that you see, one is for the SOCD and one is for tournament mode, which turns off the top row buttons. And here's the top row. So I went with the gold silver on these function buttons, and I love this Versus logo. I love the Versus Case logo. It's what inspired going with the gold silver for the functions and for the mini buttons and for the thumb. But the white on gold is just such a good classic one that I made that as the action buttons. So over here would probably end up being a retro board RJ45 port is what I would love to do eventually with that. Now here, something I love to show off. All right, again, we've got Chanchai versus Project by Arcade Stick by AS Indo Pro. You can see the wiring. I am not yet at the clean wiring, but that is my next project with this stick. And after I do clean wiring, I plan to do a lot of different builds with this stick. You can see it is a golden lever in here, and this golden lever build has been awesome for me. There's the Brook board, and this is using, I should give a shout out to the, this piece comes from Buttercade's thing there. And so you can kind of see a lot here. One of the best features. These are the best stick mats, sticking surface, foam surface alternative. This is the best in the market. It really is. I haven't found anything that's better than these. They are super comfortable on your lap, but they will stick on anything, and like the stick will not move even on carpet because of these. These are like BMW rubber mats. I know because I've driven BMWs with rubber mats that have this type of pattern. The hex pattern works, and this really is the best. You can probably ask anyone who's used it. There is more. There's more features about this. Not only does this thing have an SOCD switch and a tournament switch and pretty much all the buttons I could want and the custom layout that I want. I get to build the stick how I want. That's the theme with Arcade Stick Indonesia. Make it how you want. There's more. Okay. So here's another, and there's more beyond that too. So you can see the custom panels. You saw that on the Shield. You saw that I used one of these panels, and that panel can be flipped and used in-game, used for the controller, but I have it used also as a dual function for the display on the Quanba Shield. Top of that, this is what we call the iris. This iris is awesome. Underneath here, you can see the mounting plate, and the cool thing is actually you can remove the golden lever from the mounting plate while still keeping the mounting plate on this. And that's kind of neat for like quickly changing grommets and doing all kinds of other stuff. It does take a few unscrews, but it's great. Furthermore, this system called the iris. On the underside of the arcade stick, you'll be able to see like how it's mounted, and you can adjust within degrees of accuracy. This lever, you can make it go like this, you can make it like this, you can go all the way here, you can go the other way. Do I want my down to be here, or do I want my down to be here? I get to choose. I get to make it, and it's a very underrated feature. It is a scary feature. You don't have to use it, but if you do use it, you might end up finding something perfect for you. And so again, that's what Arcade Stick Indonesia is all about. They keep making features to make it how you want it, how you want to play it, and that is amazing. I also have a Cardi mod, which I'll show later, and that goes in here, and same thing, you get to adjust it how you want, the angle you want, and you can use this thumb button. We'll get to that in a bit. All right, give me another second. You're gonna hear a satisfying click that I love. Sound is a wonderful sound. So, what was the source of that click? This uses ball bearing clasps. These are the best clasps you can use for popping off the bottom from the top or the panel. It's awesome. And you can tighten them whenever they get loose, but you can see the ball bearings there, and all you have to do is tighten it over here, tighten it here, and it's tight again. And it works, and if you want to screw this case, you can. There's a screw hole here, and there's one on the top like here, and you'll be able to screw this thing on tight if you don't want anyone to mess with it. And so you can kind of see how I've got my stick built. And again, as I've said before, I've got an AirTag hidden in this stick. Feel free to find it if you can. If I went to an event, I'd probably lock my stick up so you couldn't get it anyways. But let's get the yoga blocks again. Give me one sec. Buttercade terminal cover over the Brook Fighting board. Again, the wiring is classic kind of messy wiring, but I'm proud. This is the first time I've built a stick, and I couldn't be more proud. I'm going to get to clean wiring, and I'm going to get to a lot of other things, but I love what I've done so far. And over here is the LED indicators for the player, and I have different color ones from BitBacon Gaming, so thanks to them. And eventually I'll find a cool place for it, or I might just replace it with another type of LED. Again, you see the crown buttons, all this wiring, and here we go. Now, this is the iris piece. This is how it's mounted. It's mounted here, it's mounted there. The first time you experience it's janky. If you end up getting this arcade controller, you can send me a message. I'll explain to you how to do it cleanly, how to do it worry-free. And once you get used to it, it's no longer janky. But the first experience might be a little janky. So, but it's a necessary janky for an amazing feature. Just like the custom spacing is, there's an aspect to it that's a little janky for at least installing the switches themselves onto this body. But once you get past that initial jank, once you get used to it, it's no longer janky, and it becomes one of the best features of the lever. So this golden lever has been wonderful for me. See that beautiful motion with the actuation of the black bearing actuator. Using A5 switches again. And then I do have a hidden golden lever sticker in there. So I love this arcade stick. It is my favorite, one of them. The Victrix Akuma, the Victrix Cami, and but the VS1R is, I would say the VS1R is the most tournament stick I have, and I just absolutely love it. If there's anything I would love in a future version of the Versus case, it's probably just, I wish there was a way to make it have custom angles, The Victrix has probably the most comfortable angle for multiple uses, but this stick is incredibly comfortable to use. I will be adjusting the belts, and I'm really proud of it. Thanks for watching this, and I hope you guys check out Arcade Stick Indonesia. Understand at the Atasa booth this weekend at EVO, but also they have the VM6. This is the VS1R, and I love these angles. These angles remind me of military and weapons and martial arts in Southeast Asia. It reminds me of some of the statues there too, and it just has this awesome look, because sometimes you just get tired of looking at boxes, that's why the Espada is such a beautiful arcade case as well. But I think the VS1R is definitely one of my very favorite looking and favorite playing sticks too. It joins ranks with the Victrix for me, and just so happy with it. But I hope people check out the VM6. It's a brand new case, and it's much more affordable than the VS1R. The VS1R, it's not cheap, but it's made of high quality materials. It is made with a lot of love, and it's made by people who want to keep doing this for a living, and want to keep making new products, but they know the realities of the business, and they know they don't want to be, they want to be here still. And if that confuses you, just remember that not everyone was able to stay in the business. They're still doing amazing stuff for all of us, but they need our support, especially the boutique solutions. And honestly, the product is world class. So Arcade Stick Indonesia, this was not sponsored in any way. Everything here I've bought pretty much, and I'm just a big fan. And I want other people to understand why, now that Arcade Stick Indonesia has product available in the US without shipping at EVO, you should take a look at it. Don't sleep on it. Saturday, Sunday, check it out, pick it up, try it out, send me a message if you got questions. I'm going to answer them as soon as I can. And, thank you all very much. But there is one more thing. Are you ready for the last thing? Okay. So a few more things to note about my tournament kit. I've decked it out, the Quamba Shield, with Moly hacking, and so I've included, this is for the Cardi mod, and you'll see that I've got the Cardi mod too. This is a screwdriver with the heads inside, and then I've also got a flashlight, because you definitely should have a flashlight with you when you go to events. You never know. You never know. Top of that, Moly packaging is pretty cool. This is like military style. Basically it straps in into the holes and Velcros in, and you can get Velcro patches like this one. I have others. I have like the Bruce Lee Be Like Water, and I've got other patches that are cool. This one glows in the dark and is an NES controller. Definitely tells me I'm a gamer. This pouch is actually for my phone. I would put my phone in here. It'd be a comfortable spot. There's more. In here is a pen that I use. This fountain pen was made by a customer for me, and I really greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much. And it's a wonderful fountain pen. And there's more that I'll show in a sec here. But strap there. Alright. The Cardi mod. So this case is a perfect size for the Cardi mod. What is the Cardi mod? The Cardi mod is it's like here. And I've made it ASD instead of WASD. I like the ASD because this is going to be left, down, right, and then I've already got my thumb button right here. And you can imagine the ASD angled how I want to match my hand's comfort with this thumb button, and it works really well. I've had fun playing it a bit. I'll play it some more later. But I like the ASD with the thumbs up. And in this case, I'm using a crown button instead of thumbs up. It's great. And I've also got the gear here to switch it to a WASD in case my friend wants to play a WASD in this case. And finally, I'm going to show off a little bling here, as if I haven't done that already. So the main pocket again is for the phone. And in this pocket there's another pen, got a Fisher Space Pen. I carry these around with me a lot. They're great. So these pens, you simply do like this, and now you've got a full-size pen. They work at multiple angles. That's why they're a space pen. And so they work at different angles. The ink runs pretty well. And then it's not too hard to replace the ink cartridge too. So these are fantastic pens. I'm a big fan of the Fisher Space Pen. I have them in a lot of setups I have. And, my briefcase and other things too. And then finally, when I'm at a tournament or event like EVO, usually I'm staying out of town. So I do have a special wallet that I use. This is a gold wallet. And in this wallet, I'm going to take these all out. Sorry for looking at my feet. You have your hotel key card. You have your restaurant card. You have your other hotel key card or the suite card that's special access. You've got your recreation card. And it's always good to have a fight stick buddy with you. You just never know, you never know when you're going to want to use it. And so now that we've got the credit card size one, you got that. So shout outs to the Train 24 on Twitter for making this amazing thing. And this one came in a buy when I bought the Antagonist 2 from Buttercade. And then this is actually a tripod, which I should have used today, but I wanted to show off that I actually have this tripod. It's pretty neat. You flip it, rotate it, and boom, you've got like a tripod. These do rotate, and you can orient it up and down. And yeah, it's a neat tripod. So there you go. Thanks for this long journey. Hope you guys have fun at EVO. Hope that, maybe you were tired and you just decided to watch Chancho's video and see him ramble about a cool product. But thank you all. I'll timestamp this video so that it's less cumbersome. But I hope you all have a good one. cheers. Thank you so much. And have an awesome time at Evo. Have the most fun in my place. Thank you so much. Cheers.